What is up everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to be doing a top speed test on every single monster truck in the game here. I have been wondering which one is actually going to be the fastest one in the game, so I figured I would basically test every single one out and really see how they're going to be different from each other. So one thing I do want to mention by the way as well guys, so I will be running the exact same Nitro Chemist set right here on every single vehicle as well, so they're basically going to have the exact same pretty much set build, so the overall top speed is going to be around the best test with the Nitro Chemist set. That way you're going to have the extra nitrous on there. So for the top speed test on each of these monster trucks as well, I figured I would head over to the salt flats to test them out on flat ground with a Nitro Chemist set. One thing I do want to mention though is if you guys are racing on some of these events, going downhill might change the top speed of the vehicles just a little bit, but I really did want to see what the actual speed is going to be on flat ground. And one thing I do want to mention as well, by the way, guys, I will be going over every single monster truck in this entire class, including the old Motor Pass and or Summit Reward vehicles, because I really do want to see how these actually compare to each other, and if some of those old Motor Pass and or Summit vehicles are going to be faster. But now moving over to the slowest monster truck in the entire game was honestly kind of shocking to me. It's going to be the DeLorean DMC-12 coming in ninth place. So just in case you all might have been wondering why it is in ninth place, that's going to be due to the fact that some of the monster trucks actually have the exact same top speed, which was kind of surprising to me as well. But the DMC-12 here is only going to hit 155 miles per hour, which depending on the event and or if you guys were using this thing in a summit, that lower top speed might be a bit of an issue. And then coming in at 8th place is going to be the Proto Hup 1, which is unlockable once you guys hit level 850. I would say this is one of those forgotten type of monster trucks in the game, but this thing's definitely going to look pretty sweet. And the top speed on this one is going to be 162 miles per hour, so at least the Proto Hup 1's going to be a bit faster than the DMC, and it's also going to look pretty dang cool while doing it, even though I really don't see this truck used all that often. And then moving over to 7th place is going to be the Nissan Skyline GTR R34, which is probably going to be one of the monster trucks you would probably never see in real life. At least I don't know anyone who would actually lift a GTR, but this thing's going to come in at 164 miles per hour, so it's going to be a tad quicker than the Proto Hup 1. I really haven't seen many people run this vehicle, but at least it's going to be in the 160 mile per hour mark. And then coming in at 6th place is going to be the Nissan 370Z. I actually run this monster truck a bit more often than some of the others. I find the handling on this one to be pretty dang good. The top speed of this one's also going to be around 166 miles per hour, making it a tad faster than many of the other ones. So the 370Z is most likely going to be pretty decent overall, mainly because it has a nice top speed and it also handles pretty decently. And then coming in at 5th place is going to be the Abarth 500, which is probably arguably one of the best monster trucks in the entire game when it comes to doing flips and stuff like that. It's also going to be pretty dang fast, guys, doing 167 miles per hour, making it just 1 mile per hour faster than the Nissan, which I do find to be pretty interesting. Which in most circumstances on some of these events, I would say that 1 mile per hour difference is probably not going to really do much. One of the biggest things about the Abarth though is the handling, which is going to be some of the best in this class. And then moving over to 4th place is actually going to be tied with two different monster trucks. The first one's going to be the H1 Alpha doing 168 miles per hour. I would say this is probably one of the best looking monster trucks in the entire game. So not only is the H1 Alpha going to do 168 miles per hour, I also found the handling on the H1 to be pretty dang good. And my goodness, once again guys, I feel like many players are going to love the look of this one. But the other truck that also falls in the exact same place as this one's going to be the Chevy Camaro, which is also going to do 168 miles per hour as well. This car is actually going to be kind of odd because I really haven't used it all that much. One thing I also found kind of interesting is the fact that I don't think I've ever actually used the Camaro. When I first clicked on this vehicle and checked my settings, I never actually had any pro settings on it, so it basically was probably never in a summit. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these other monster trucks will end up showing up in summits in the future. And then moving over to third place is going to have four trucks with the exact same top speed, which I did find pretty interesting. So the first one's going to be the Jeep Grand Cherokee at 169 miles per hour. I was actually kind of surprised because I really haven't used this vehicle that much either, but I did find the acceleration on the Jeep to be pretty dang good compared to some of the others. I was noticing this when driving this, at least compared to the Abarth. I would say the Grand Cherokee's pretty dang fast, and 169 miles per hour is definitely not going to be a pushover. The other vehicle, guys, with the exact same top speed is going to be the Dodge Challenger. Most likely going to be another one of those vehicles I probably haven't used a lot, but then again, thinking about some of the summits, I would not be shocked if some of these do show up, so having a good build on some of these might be a good idea, and 169 is definitely not going to be slow by any means. I would say the Challenger handles pretty decently from the testing I have done, but the next two monster trucks that will also be tied in third place are going to be some of my favorite ones in the game. The first one, guys, is going to be the Ford Raptor, so I have used this one a good amount. I would actually say this is one of my favorite vehicles to run on the ones that you actually have to do the flips and grab the points and all that. I found the Raptor to be a really good overall vehicle for those, and I would definitely recommend trying out this truck just for those specifically. I wouldn't say it's going to be the best one for racing when it comes to handling, but my goodness, for these stunt ones, this thing is honestly pretty dang incredible. But the final one, guys, tied in third place, and then the final monster truck also tied in third place is going to be one of my favorites. The Ford Mustang GT, I would say, is by far going to be one of the best overall trucks in the game for when it comes to racing. I actually still use this vehicle to this day, guys, when it comes to all the events in the summit. This vehicle has never let me down in any of them, so I would highly recommend trying it out. It's kind of odd how you think the Ford Mustang GT is going to be the best when it comes to racing, but I would probably say the biggest part of that's going to be its handling, plus a nice mix of a very high top speed, making it insanely viable. And then moving over to second place is going to be the Chevrolet Silverado 1500. This is also going to be for me very similar to the Chevy Camaro. I really have barely used this truck at all, guys, but I was kind of surprised it can hit 170 miles per hour. I would also say this thing could probably be around 169 if you don't push it, but if you guys do have Nitro Chemist, you can get this vehicle up to 170, which is going to put it in second place compared to everything else. I don't think I've also ever seen anybody run this, so I may have to test out the Silverado, especially when it comes to the races. And now moving over to the fastest monster truck in the entire game, guys, is going to be the Combi High School Edition, aka like the Volkswagen minibus here. I was honestly really surprised about this. I really haven't used this thing all that much, but I was kind of surprised how fast this thing can go. I managed to get this vehicle to 177 miles per hour with Nitro Chemist, so it's going to be a bit quicker than basically every single other monster truck. And if you guys actually were to use this thing against like the DMC, you will literally be over like 25 miles per hour faster, which is definitely pretty crazy. I would recommend trying out this vehicle if you guys have not. I also do know this was a Motor Pass vehicle a long time ago, so not everybody probably has it. I really don't think I've seen many people run this thing in many events either, so if you guys might have been a bit concerned about how fast this thing is going to be, I honestly wouldn't be too worried about it. Now, one thing I did notice about the Combi Edition as well is not only is the Combi Edition going to have the highest top speed in this class, but one thing I found pretty interesting is also going to be the way it handles. It does seem to actually be pretty dang good, but I really have not seen many people run this vehicle. I was also testing this thing out on some of the like stunt type of events as well, which it did pretty decent, but I wouldn't say it's going to be the best overall monster truck for the stunt events. I would personally probably still pick the Ford Raptor over this one, but for this thing to hit 177 miles per hour is going to be pretty dang insane. It's also by far going to own this class when it comes to top speed, at least at the moment, until something else might be added in the future. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What monster truck is going to be your favorite one to use and why? I personally still would use the Ford GT for the races. And then when it comes to these stunt events, I would most likely switch over to the Ford Raptor because of the way that thing does handle in the air. But I'm not going to lie though, I might have to test out the Combi Edition in the future. because I feel like the Combi might be slightly forgotten because it wasn't a motor pass a long time ago, and I'm still insanely impressed with the top speed of this vehicle. Not only that though, I would also go as far as saying the Combi Edition is going to be one of the best looking monster trucks in the entire game, basically right next to the Hummer H1 Alpha. But again guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and it seems the Combi Edition is going to have the highest top speed in the monster truck class, at least at the moment.